Let's do it.
What's going on, bro?
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful, man. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I want to introduce everybody to this wonderful man, but before we do, this is J1S Promotions, where we bring everybody up to speed to have everybody keeping up with the Joneses. I am your host, Freddie J1S, and we are now going to introduce my guest today for J1S Promotions. This man, he's come from a long distance, a long ways, all the way here to Las Vegas. This guy is an officer in the Air Force, the United States Air Force. He's a deacon in his church. He's a loving husband and father. Give it up for my friend, Roy Herrin. Good to see you, bro. How's
What's
it
up,
going?
brother?
Hey, man.
How are you?
So let me see. Let's go straight into this,
All
okay?
right, let's do it. Let's do
I've
it.
been really excited about having you on this camera, man.
Sure.
Ever since I got it, I was like, yo, Roy's gonna be my first one. So let's have our watchers here, our viewers, get to know Roy Herrin Jr.
Wow. All right. Start all the way. How far back you want to go?
Let's go back to let's say your teenage years.
Teenage years?
Starting at like 16. Let's go from there.
All right, 16. All right. Born and raised in Suffolk, Virginia. Grew up in the Virginia Beach locale.
Oh, okay.
As a teenager. In my teenage years, I went to a small school out in Suffolk, Virginia. And I had an awesome teenage year experience, I think. I wasn't around too many gangbangers or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Grew
Is
up
that
in-
how it
grew
was
up in a
there in
nice
Suffolk?
neighborhood. Oh yeah, so pretty much suburban farmlands.
Okay.
Everybody grew up on 2 acres. We cut grass every day.
Man.
You know, after high school, every day after school was all about cutting grass. I played a little bit of sports. Played mostly baseball. That was my sport, my go-to sport. And it's still to this day softball. You know, baseball is still always my biggest sport. I do love basketball and football and that sort of thing.
Speak loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so basketball and all the good sports, man. I love basketball myself. It's my
You think?
favorite go-to. It's my favorite go-to. Let's see here. You mentioned farmlands and big. How did you cut your grass? Did you guys have them little roars that you had?
We had commercial mowers. We cut anywhere from with a 50-inch deck, so 54-inch deck. So we do the trimmers, we do the backpack blowers, and that sort of thing. It takes about
Man.
a good 2 hours to cut my
Really?
yard back at home, and then I cut others while I was going through, school as well.
Oh, okay. So that was
So,
your job, your
Yeah,
go-to job
we
back
did that.
then.
Well, actually, my first job was at a department store called Montgomery Ward.
Montgomery Wards.
A lot
They
of
went
people
out.
probably,
Wow.
if you didn't grow up in the 80s and 90s, you didn't know anything about Montgomery Ward because I think they pretty much went under probably in the early 2000s. But
Yeah,
that
earlier
was an
than
awesome
that. Yeah.
experience. Yeah. So actually, I did maintenance, changed light bulbs, did the bathrooms. That was my
My
first gig. And then right after that, I just moved into the paint department, the housewares. I learned to mix paint. I was measuring,
Wow.
rooms and that sort of thing. I knew everything about ceiling fans, how
Wow.
to fold towels, and I think a lot of that prepared me for my next step. And that was when I went back
Man,
into the Air
that's
Force.
cool. Tell
I
me
went
about
into-
your parents. Tell me about your parents.
My mom is a fourth generation Church of Christ member, Iglesia Ni Cristo. My dad was converted in, I believe, 1973, I want to say.
Wow.
He was the first American convert for the Virginia Beach locale.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, so
It's a lot of history
Yeah,
there.
he's actually baptized in the river, the
Okay.
Elizabeth River.
Wow.
So
That's when they had
one of-
those.
one of
Okay.
the first. So, and my mom's hardworking. She used to work in the shipyard in the late '80s, early '90s, and then became a school teacher, special ed school teacher. My dad was prior Army, Special Forces, as well as he was in the fire department for 35 years. And so I grew around, providing service, having that customer service type atmosphere,
Yeah.
and a lot of hard work and dedication.
So your bringing up pretty much set you to where you are now with your personality and how you handle people, huh?
Right.
Okay, so your parents set a really good example for you to become this wonderful man that we know today. Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me about the toughest time that you had as a teenager?
Wow. Toughest time I think having as a teenager was, to be honest with you, when I first started out in high school, I did pretty well, and I think by the time I got to 10th grade, I was taking on too many things. You know, I was trying to play sports versus working. Actually, at one time, I wanted to be in the band and play the drums and that sort of thing, but I just had too much going on at the time. And of course, with church and everything, I was a choir member as well. But I think the toughest time was probably even as a teenager, to be honest with you, nothing as hard as what a lot of people may seem, but I struggled with algebra.
Wow.
Algebra 2, and I think just taking that and physics all at one time. So I had a hard time in school when it came to that. So I was a A through F student. So
wow,
I
the
made
whole
A's.
spectrum. Huh?
The whole spectrum. You know, I flunked out of algebra my first time. I did really well algebra 1, and then we're talking. It's funny, we're talking about high school, bad experiences and stuff, but really that's how it was. I grew up in a really good neighborhood. I think the biggest struggle was trying to get through algebra 2. I knew I was going to pass high school, but I knew, and I also flunked driver's ed, to be honest with you. Yeah, so a lot of things people don't know about. Yeah, I grew up, around go-karts. We used to go to a theme park called Motor World back in the day. We used to drive go-karts all the time. But to be honest with you, I actually flunked driver's ed. It wasn't behind the wheel. It wasn't the skills.
It was the actual
actually
test, the
test.
written
so
test.
I had a hard time with test taking.
Okay.
You really have to buckle down and study, and just loss of focus. And really the biggest thing is you got to focus on what your purpose is and who do you ask for help and that sort of thing. And
now I'm going to reference back to this moment later on in the interview because it actually pinpoints another question that I have for later on concerning this man's test-taking abilities. Okay. So let's move forward a little bit.
Yeah.
When did you meet your wife? First of all, give us your wife's name.
Yeah, so my wife's name is Roy Herrin. We met back in 2003, I believe it was.
Okay.
She was actually studying as a lab technologist, so I had a lot of friends when I was in the Air Force that were lab technologists, so I kind of gravitated towards people who are in the medical field at the time, and that's how I met her.
So you guys met 17 years ago?
17 years ago.
When is you guys' anniversary?
May 21st.
May 21st,
Yeah,
so it's coming up soon.
Yeah, it'll be our 9th anniversary. So we were married back in 2011.
Man, that's 2 days after my my anniversary.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so 17 years ago, almost to the date, you met your wife, Sharon. Tell me what that experience was like when you first met her.
I didn't like her when I first met her.
What? I hope she's not going to be watching this.
Because she's going to say right off the bat, I don't like her either. So I will tell you one of the more fond memories that she has of me, and let's just talk about her for a second,
Okay.
is when we were playing softball at the church in Virginia Beach. And my position had always been either shortstop or second base. And in softball, there's 4 people in the outfield.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like there's 3 in outfield. There's left center, and then there's center, and then there's right field.
Right.
So usually the 4-person, or there's 2 like center fielders, they will back up the infield most of the time because it's softball. So the ball really doesn't travel that well if you don't have a really good, strong hitter.
Yeah.
You're not going to pop homers like you are with a regular baseball. So she was playing shortstop, and I was like, man, that's my position. I'm out in the outfield. That's the only thing.
You beefing with the young lady?
Yeah. So what happened was a ball was hit, and I came all the way into the shortstop position. And I don't know if I took the ball but I think she was kind of upset. She will always tell you, it's like, who is this guy that tried to steal my position? That's one of the earliest memories. Besides going to the movies, our first movie was Drumline.
Drumline,
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah.
crazy.
She played instruments in high school. She was in percussion, but she played the cymbals. But she had some, a little bit of experience with the drums and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't know that until afterwards. But yeah, Drumline was our first movie. So yeah.
Man, that's cool. So okay, so you met Cher, and and then you guys played softball. You didn't like each other. So tell me, how did the dating thing come about?
Oh, it was a slow process. Um, I think at the time, we all have people in mind that we want to gravitate towards, and people will tell you that I was attracted to her somehow, some way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. No, I'm just giving you how the feeling was, back in the day.
Yeah.
Obviously, those feelings are much more different now. But at the time, it was, I just wanted to be friends with her at first.
Yeah.
And then I think eventually, as we started, hanging out, going to different places, going out to eat, and that sort of thing, then it started to, the relationship got a little bit better and
Right.
that sort of thing.
Man, that's cool. So when you came about to learning, man, I really like this young lady. Tell me about that.
Wow. We dated for almost 9 years.
Okay.
So it hasn't been, the most spectacular, relationship, any relationship. And I don't know why it went that long. I was, committed to, that's how it was meant to be. It was, to prepare you for later on.
Yeah.
Get to know each other really well. This day and age, even if they're, a Church of Christ member, you still have to make sure that their faith is
Strong, huh?
strong, it's deeply rooted, that sort of thing. So there was a lot of things that I was also looking forward. And then there was, the time when we started dating, we were going to school, we were going to college. We went to school for about 2 years together. And she graduated her degree in 2004, and I graduated my first degree in 2006.
Okay.
International relations, and she studied, lab technology. Right after school, I had a hard time finding a job, and then, but she stuck with me, the whole time. I actually joined the fire department and was there just under 2 years, but it wasn't something I was in my heart.
So before the Air Force, you were a fireman?
No, so I joined the Air Force in December of '94, and I
Okay.
served for 8 years, got out in 2002.
Okay.
Then I went to school, and that's how I met her. So after I left
Okay.
in 2002, roughly 2003 is when I met her, and I joined the fire department in 2007. So there's that. Remember, it's 8 years.
Yeah, there's a
that
whole
we
bunch
dated,
of years,
so
right?
it was a long time.
Okay. So there's a nice big gap in between the time that you met her and the time that you married her. Okay. So let's say about 9 years, nine and a half years you guys dated before you guys actually got married. Okay. So you went into, how did the decision come that you said, oh, you know what, I'm going to the Air Force? How did that come about? Because I already know that you said that you was an A through F student. And you were like, wait a minute.
Okay. So just to recap, served 8 years as enlisted. I was a medical technician. So I've been in the medical field all my life, ever since 1994, roughly 95.
Right.
Right. So I studied as a paramedic when I was in school. So I was able to pass all those tests, gain a lot of experience. Worked nothing but trauma back then.
Right.
Worked in the ER. So emergency room has always been my strength when it comes to my career field. When I got out, I wanted to study nursing, but I didn't get accepted to nursing school right away. I thought I did pretty good. I had a 3.2 average. I mean, to me, that's good.
Right.
But during the time, it wasn't. I wasn't competitive,
Right.
with that. So I said, okay, I'll just study something else. The government was paying me, with the GI Bill that I got when I got out, and I sat in a couple national security law type classes
Right.
with the Army ROTC and the Navy ROTC,
Okay.
and just to see, take something totally out of my realm, right?
Right.
And I started gravitating towards that, and I'll tell you, it was a lot of writing. So political science, international relations, anybody that takes that, it's a lot of writing. It's writing intensive. We write like 10, 20, 25, 30 pages,
Sheesh.
and that's your test. So there's no testing. So that's how we, I'm not going to say that's how I passed it, but I mean, there were tests in all the other courses. I studied all the histories except American history, right? You learn American history in school, so
Right.
I took Asian and Western Civ, and, even African American history I took later on. Wow, it's pretty loaded.
Yeah.
So I got out, went to school, joined the fire department, didn't like it,
Right.
got out of that.
How long did you-
Attempted to go to the ministry.
Oh,
So in
that's right.
2009,
Mhm.
I signed up for the BEM.
okay.
I got to the Philippines 3 weeks prior to the class, and was there, had some family. It was kind of like just like a little mini vacation before we get started.
Yeah.
And then the week before, I was attending services every day at 5:45 in Central.
5:45 a.m. or p.m.
5:45 in the morning,
Okay.
and just prepping myself. I was already used to 5:45 services because we have that in Virginia,
Right.
Virginia Beach. I was attending that during the midweek.
Okay.
Working after that, so I was already used to that. I would get there as early as 4:45 in the
Okay.
morning just to kind of. I wanted to sit in the front in the temple.
That's
at the
something
time,
that you
so-
mentioned. How important is it that a member would get to the service early and sit in the front row? How important is that to your faith?
Well, I think it shows that you are putting God as number one. You want to be up there in the front. The front row means a lot to people that are in need.
Yes.
I'll put it that way. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, I'm not in need, I'm not going to sit in the front row, but I had that thinking as well too.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure
know,
I'm sure
everybody has sat, in the front row maybe once or twice, and then there are those who just won't go to the front row.
Right.
They have all their other personal reasons, but even when I was in the Air Force the first time, I was in the locale of San Antonio back in the days, in the early 2000s, actually 98 to 2002, and you can ask the members there. Every Sunday I sat in the front row. I would be the first one there. One, we were always early because I was military,
Right.
so I always sat up front.
Right.
I always wore a suit and sat in the front row. And I think that's you're showing God true intent, that you're prioritizing Him by being there early, because we're all instructed and taught to seek God early.
Right.
And when you're there and you have time to pray and no one else is there other than the deacons and deaconesses, and then choir members, of course,
Yeah.
it gives you that time to reflect, to meditate, and to really ask God for His guidance, because you all know that it's there in the church that He listens to His people.
That shows that you have very, very good, strong faith. That's good, man. That's inspiring, bro.
Right.
Yeah, to hear. Let's go back to getting into the Air Force.
The second time?
Okay. So now you mentioned earlier that you had a horrible time taking tests.
All right.
How did you pass them tests? Because I know those tests was pretty hard.
Right. So first, to even get back into the service at this age,
Now, what age are you talking about?
remember,
This
so
age?
by this time, after I got out of the Air Force and I left the Philippines, I didn't even start the BEM right away, but that's a whole nother story.
Right,
that we'll
right.
start. It's truly a calling, for those who join the ministry. I'll just leave it at that.
Right.
It's really a calling, and I will always encourage people to join, especially this time of day.
I actually myself,
Yeah.
I tried to. I wrote like 4 or 5 letters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so when I came back, it was one of those pathways, I'll tell you. Let me just reverse back for a little bit. So when I was going to BEM, I also got accepted to nursing school.
Oh, at the same time.
Yes, at the same time.
Okay.
So there's that fork in the road for me. All right.
okay.
So that's one huge turning point. Which way do you go?
Right.
All right.
Hold on. So at this moment, right, everybody knows that every last one of us in the entire world, we reach these points, these pinnacles in our lives where we literally have to make a decision between this one or that one. Whichever decision that we're trying to make, hopefully we're praying properly. Hopefully we have our faith strong, so that God can actually guide us the way that we should go. Now let's see exactly what happened here.
So I had that fork in the road, right? And I chose to go the ministry route. We talked about, for a second there, that I actually flew all the way to the Philippines. I got my books.
Yeah, speak louder.
I know. I got the. You want to pause it then?
No, well, just just keep going, but just speak a little
All right,
louder.
we'll speak a little bit louder. No editing, right?
No editing. This
Right.
is all raw
Right?
and uncut.
Raw media, just like wrestling. All right, so there's that fork in the road. So 2009, and I actually chose the.
All right, so let's go back to once again. Let's go back to tell me about the crossroads. You said you had got accepted to the BEM and you had got accepted to nursing school all at the same time. Tell me what that was all about.
Yeah, so got accepted to BEM and nursing school at the same time. So I think that's a choice that I had to make, and obviously I went and chose to do the BEM first. Because setting priorities was important for me, and prioritizing God, and at least taking that chance to see whether or not it's for me. So I went through the BEM process, got checked in, got my Bibles, went to the store, got my tablet, right? I was getting prepared, I was getting my dorm room ready. I attended the services early in the morning at 5:45, got there as early as 4:45 to ensure that I got a front row seat at Central, and to have my devotional prayer. And the day before the start of the school, which was like first week in June in 2009, I was there with family. I was talking to some family as well, and I decided that I don't think it was for me.
Wow.
I didn't even start the school. So I left the Philippines on the plane ride home, and I was in tears.
Wow.
I was like, what did I just do?
Mm-hmm.
God knows what's in your heart. Sometimes I feel decisions are made obviously for a reason. It's truly a calling.
Yeah.
That's really all I'll say about that. It's truly a calling. So that's when I came back and I went to.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you right there. So, you were there for how many days? You say
3 weeks.
So 3 weeks you were there, and then you decided, well, this is not for me. So you decided to leave and go home.
Yes.
How? Let's talk about your feelings when you okay, listen, because everybody knows that when you go to, for those who don't know, going to BEM or Bachelor of Evangelical Mission training or schooling, you're devoting yourself and your life totally to God, to serving God. Okay, so this young man, he went at that time, and he had got accepted, and he went there, and he was there for 3 weeks, and he decided, okay, this is not for me. Okay, so we won't get too deep into that, the reasons why, but because we all understand this is a spiritual journey when he's dealing with the BEM. So, in your heart, how did you feel when you was like, this is not for me, and then you got on the plane?
I'll tell you, the feeling was much stronger about what did I just do, rather than making the decision. I had some other influences when I was there. There were other people that I trusted in. They were members of the church also, part of my family, and
Helped you make the decision?
they helped me make the decision. They didn't tell me. It's always, you have to make the decision on your own.
Yeah.
And so I think I was overwhelmed with everything that was going on. I had a lot of things I was leaving behind. And
How old were you at this time?
33.
33.
33.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually, the cutoff is, I believe, 30.
30.
But I was able to, to get accepted at the time. The need is always great. The call is always, for those who are eligible at the time. But I think that at the end of the day, after I made the decision and on the plane ride home, I think that's like, wow, it just hit me. What did I just do? Because I was upset. I was like, I can't believe I just left there. I prepped myself for all of this, and then was having my prayers, and then I think that if you don't go super focused, you got to go there and just take that journey on your own. The only person that you need to rely on, or the only one that you need to rely on, is God alone.
Amen.
Not family, not anybody else, not any outside influences or anything like that. I still, to this day, will always encourage people to go. no matter what. I have no ill feelings or anything. It took me 3 months. I had to separate from Sharon. I was dating her before.
Right.
Remember 2003 is when we started dating, and then I made the decision, to do that. So there was a lot of things that I was leaving behind at the time, and but at the end of the day, you have to. It's a calling.
Yes.
Definitely a calling. So then that's when I came back, and I went ahead and got accepted to the School of Nursing.
Okay.
And I went that route.
Man, so at that point, how long how far in nursing did you go before you decided I'm going to go back to the Air Force?
Well, you have to finish. One of my first goals after getting out the first time, remember I served 8 years, got out in 2002. My goal was because I was already in the medical field, was to transition to registered nursing, get my bachelor's degree, and go right back in as an officer. Well, as that didn't pan out, and I had a lot of different, not obstacles, but all these different decisions in my life, right? So focus has always been one of the things that I know I need to pull the reins on, right? Well, you gotta focus, you gotta focus. And make sure you stick with your goals,
right?
And don't deviate. And that was the thing, I always derail from what my original intent. But you can't be strong and formidable if you keep falling off the tracks. You can change your mind,
right?
You just need to have a good path to keep going. So,
wow, that's good. Okay, so when it comes down to making decisions in your life, we got a lot of this. Okay, when it comes down to making decisions in your life, right? You pointed out a few things. The biggest thing that I took from that is when you're making a decision for your life, the only people that you need to rely on is yourself and our Almighty God, right? Because any other outside influences, they pretty much take away from what you and God have going for your plan, for your life, right? So if anybody's out there listening to this who are deciding things in their lives, there are going to be a whole bunch of people that come into your life to try to give you advice. It's good people give good advice. But when it comes to you making your own decision, it's between you and God. Okay, so you have to stand alone in this one physically, but stand beside God. Okay, so what are we doing today, bro?
So today, we're going to go out and one of the activities that's set up by the district administration is for us to do an Aid to Humanity event. With the pandemic going on, we want to help our own this time. Those who are in need within our own groups, within our own locale. Each locale is going to set aside some food items just to show our appreciation. Just a little bit of something to show that we care for not only those who are non-members of the Church of Christ, more importantly those, that's why the whole Aid to Humanity, but also those who might be struggling within, who may have, who are not working right now or having trouble making ends meet and have to focus more on paying the mortgage or the rent, that sort of thing. So we're just going to go out and just kind of give a little help to those just to show our appreciation, our love and concern for our own members.
All right. Well, I am ready to go do this. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go.
All right.
So we're in the car. Where are we headed now, bro?
We gotta go to Walmart.
So we're gonna go to Walmart.
Are you recording?
Yes.
Well, in that case, we're going to Walmart. Pick up some bags, some nice little grocery bags. The ones that are non-disposable.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go back and we're gonna pack some of the canned good items. We're gonna to sort it out. We're just going to give it out to 2 families.
How does it make you feel by being able to do humanitarian work?
Oh, it's awesome. I think it's always a good feeling when you help others that are in need or have trouble, you know, making men's eat. Or I totally just messed that up.
You said men's eat. You're making men's eat. Making ends meet. Yeah, this is a very, very hard time, you know, for most people, because a lot of people throughout the world are not able to work. Some don't even have their government assistance yet.
Yeah, even in Nevada, I mean, or just Las Vegas. Who would ever thought the entire city across the nation would be shut down?
Yeah.
But you know, that's so I read that the coronavirus is about 120 nanometers in size. It's actually larger than the latest computer processor by 12 times.
Really?
And it's still so small that you still need an electron microscope to see it. So to put that in perspective in decimal places, it's 0.00012 millimeters. I had to give you the unit of measure. Now, you can barely see a millimeter. If you look on a ruler,
yeah,
the space between 1 millimeter,
it's really
1 millimeter.
It's really hard
small
to see.
So now just take 0.00012.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s.
Man,
that's 100.
I can't even imagine to even just know exactly what that means, because I don't know what that means. I don't know. Do you know what this means? Because I don't know. He knows what it means, but I don't know what it means. Look at that line right there.
Yeah. So you see what they're doing at Walmart now? They're minimizing the amount of people that are going in. There's like a line to get into this place. Who would have ever thought that you had? That's the first time I've seen this. I haven't seen this before. I've been coming here, and I never see people standing in line at Walmart just to get into this place. It's like they're limiting the amount of people that go in and out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coronavirus is, you know, to most people, a layperson who are non-medical, not to really downplay it, maybe I am downplaying it, it is a respiratory virus. It does mimic similar flu-like symptoms, but the biggest thing is that cough and then the shortness of breath to the point that you are having painful breathing. That's what you have to worry about. But when you look at the numbers that Nevada has, compared to the amount of people that you don't hear about that also die of flu, we've actually reacted in a way that, you know, the world in our time has never reacted before.
So the question is, why is the coronavirus so different from the normal everyday influenza virus?
Well, there's a lot we don't know about the coronavirus, right? So all the scientists, the researchers, the doctors, they're all, you know, scrambling to find everything to know about it. The one thing we do know is that, you know, since the genetic code was cracked, you know, years ago, you can actually figure out what the genome is of the coronavirus, and that helps researchers know a little bit more. But because it's new, it's novel, that's what it's called, new, it's a new virus.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have a new virus, there's so much unknowns. But I'll tell you this, coronavirus is a class of about 6 other viruses, right?
Right.
We have the OC43 that causes the common cold. That's a coronavirus. If you look on the back of your Lysol wipes, you're going to see Lysol wipes kills coronavirus. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So the generic term is coronavirus, but the actual virus itself is called SARS-CoV-2.
So it's part of the SARS family.
So it is part of the SARS family. So the first SARS, COVID-1, was actually, what, 2002, 2003?
Mm-hmm.
We have surpassed that by a factor of tenfold or higher And I'm just giving arbitrary numbers because we know there are a lot more deaths with this one.
Right.
So this is a little bit more infectious, right? So there's what's called an R naught value.
An R naught value?
R naught value, right? So it's a factor of for every one person, you'll infect three others. So it's highly contagious. That's the thing. So remember, if you got billions of viruses floating in the air, all right, and we talked about nanometers.
Yeah.
So the proverbial, you can fit a billion viruses on the head of a needle or the head of a pin, stands true. So every time somebody breathes out, you have the potential to infect somebody because of the millions or billions of viruses that are being blown out. That's if you're sick, right? So before, it's like the CDC says, hey, masks aren't really recommended in public settings. There's really no...
That was early on. That was first.
That's early on. So
right.
Now we're at the point where, wear a mask because it's peace of mind, or there's really, because of so many unknowns, let's go ahead and just tell everybody to wear a mask. If you're sick, generally you wear a mask, right? Usually the mask is to protect others from you. And so if you see people wearing masks, they're protecting us from them.
Right.
That's how we see it. The proper PPE or personal protection equipment is one that will isolate and keep out all viruses, like the N95 mask.
Right.
That's the one that hospital personnel are trained on. They go through just a little bit of, it's like a 10-minute training, and it just, to ensure that you're wearing the proper mask, to ensure that you have the proper seal and everything like that. So, but masks in general are designed to protect others from large droplets from the person wearing the mask, right?
Right.
Or others, because now that the virus can be shed possibly by asymptomatic means, meaning that you may have it and not know it, and you're not showing any symptoms. Everybody has a different immune system. Some are healthier than others. Can warn off a lot of these viruses. So typically, you could be infectious at least 2 days prior to the day you show symptoms.
Wow.
So that's why they're saying, hey, let's have everybody else wear a mask. Denser populations like China have always been wearing it, and their numbers are lower than ours. So there's a lot of that, our numbers have exceeded everyone around the world. We're always number one in everything, right?
Right.
Even with this virus,
that's crazy.
As negative as it is,
we're still
we
number
happen
one.
to be number one.
Oh no.
So let's everybody wear a mask, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? This
is just bad. I don't want to be number one in deaths.
Right.
Concerning.
But it's still a recommendation. It's not a mandate. The problem is a lot of states are making it they're trying to mandate it because they have denser populations like New York.
Right.
They got to get on the subways and they're standing next to Joe Schmo and.
Well, I know a lot of Americans feel like their freedoms are being.
Curtailed.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So how do we go about what is the proper way Americans should think and act concerning this virus?
I think people need to, err on the side of caution and protect themselves. I mean, if you're not wearing the mask, like none of us are wearing a mask right now. We probably should because we're more than 6 feet away, right? The thing is, everyone has the option to protect themselves. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to say, I'm going to protect myself from other people. That's your choice. But at the same time, don't get arrogant and say, I'm not going to wear it simply because I don't want nobody telling me what to do.
Right.
Right? And that's where we go, well, you should probably obey your leaders, right? This is where we get into, even some of the verses that we've heard, obey the instructions of the leaders that are appointed over you, right?
Right.
And it's like that there's that hierarchy of command or supervision and instruction that's given to everyone. The issue is there are a lot of people who don't want to follow that, right? Right. But it all depends on if it's a mandate or not, right? If it's a mandate or a recommendation. So it's that person's choice. And so, being a healthcare provider, I wear the mask when I'm in my workplace, but I don't wear the mask when I'm in public places. It's kind of weird, right? Kind of ironic. It's a choice. It's a choice that you have to make. For the sake of this interview, having a mask on, would prevent us from hearing exactly what we're supposed to be saying. So
Right.
I'm on the side of, look at our numbers. We got 3 million people in the city, and we've got what, let's say 5,000 that are infected. We had 130 some that have passed, or maybe the numbers are higher, but the numbers just don't match the amount of people. Now, if 100,000 people were dying a day, I'd probably be worried.
Yeah.
I've been around a lot of diseases that are much more contagious and can cause illness than coronavirus. Like bacterial meningitis. There's tuberculosis that are out there. To be honest with you, if you get bit by a rabid dog and you're not treated in 48 hours,
Oh, you're gonna have
you're gonna
problems.
go brain dead.
Brain dead, you say?
Yes.
Wow.
To put it in perspective, yeah. So, rabies can kill you faster. But
yeah, I mean, how many rabid dogs
right,
are you gonna run across?
This is worldwide, and so we're looking at like flu numbers. That's
Yeah.
what we're seeing now. If this caused hemorrhagic fever, I would probably be worried more.
Right.
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 You do not want to have hemorrhagic fever, and there are a lot of diseases like that, like Ebola.
That's when your body just shuts down. Am I
when it
correct?
shuts down, you bleed out of your pores.
Oh no.
You
Okay.
have flesh-eating fasciitis,
Yeah.
necrotizing fasciitis. There's a lot of things that are out there.
Yeah.
Not to discount it, but
Now, for the sake of this interview,
we're moving on.
yeah, please let's let's not get too gruesome.
That's why you got to write down your questions when
Man.
you talk to me, because
But it's good though.
I'm
like
just gonna
this.
keep going.
I like this, But my point is to make sure that you stay on point, so that for the sake of our viewers,
Yeah, absolutely.
we can get the information that's intended.
Disclaimer: a lot of those were my opinions. So
Okay.
protect yourself.
So, is there a cure for the COVID-19 virus, the
No.
coronavirus?
There's no cure for the coronavirus.
So there's
or the
no
COVID-19
cure.
virus.
And how come there's no cure? We've been around for how many decades and eons have we been on this planet?
Well, again, let's talk about a little bit about the flu, because the flu has similar symptoms that the coronavirus has, right? So we're
Yet
talking
there's
about
no cure for the
respiratory.
flu either, right?
There's no cure for the flu. We can only minimize the symptoms or help block out.
Okay, well, what about vaccinations?
So that's what they're trying to do now. It's what all the researchers are doing. They're scrambling to try to get a vaccine. Vaccines usually take about 18 months, a year out,
Oh,
or
okay.
more than 18 months before it goes through the trials, and then it's ready for the public to use. There's just a lot of unknowns right now. So there's a lot of, the new thing is now, well, let's test the antibodies to see if people were infected.
Right.
Maybe there are more people who were infected by the coronavirus
That we
and
just
no
don't know
longer have
about, right?
symptoms. But if you look at the recovery rate, also, rather than just the sheer numbers of those who are infected by it and the numbers, those are polarizing numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But also looking at the recovery rate is just as important, because if you have it, it's not like you're going to die tomorrow.
Right.
Right now,
Right.
unfortunately, the people who are affected are usually the elderly and those with weakened immune systems.
Right.
And so those are the ones who are
Overweight,
the
smokers.
well, the immunocompromised, and
Right.
those who fall into those categories with other comorbidities.
And the elderly, yeah.
Yeah, other illnesses such as diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiac problems, that sort of thing.
So these things can all affect exactly how you are
Right.
infected by this deadly virus.
Absolutely. So somebody gets sick with the COVID, all we're going to do is treat the symptoms.
Right.
We're going to reduce the fever. Okay. We're going to monitor the respiratory rate. We're going to monitor their oxygen saturation levels, right, to ensure that they're at optimum levels, right? Everyone needs to be at least 95% oxygenation. There are
Right.
those who are heavy smokers who have underlying illnesses like emphysema, bronchitis,
Right.
and even those.
So do you
with
give them
asthma.
oxygen at this point?
Well, it depends on, if they're having trouble breathing,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they're wheezing, so we're going to treat all of the symptoms. We're going to try to minimize those symptoms. That's all you can do. So when anyone gets sick, we're not curing it with Tylenol.
No.
We're reducing the symptoms. So we're, reducing that fever and
Helping it go away.
yeah, absolutely.
So have you come in contact with these patients who have had or who does have coronavirus?
So in my line of work, I'm not directly working with patients who are, infected with coronavirus. So
Okay.
currently, I'm working in a clinic. I maintain the pilots. We look after their health care. We look after those who are also working with the pilots. So I work in an area it's mostly clinic, right? So family practice, aerospace medicine. So those are the patients I see. I don't work directly in the hospital
Right.
with patients who are infected by any kind of illness or COVID. That sort of
Okay.
thing. So I'm no longer a frontliner.
No longer.
I used to be a frontliner for the longest time. And I'm happy to say that I would be willing to work with them, but at this moment I'm not assigned in those areas. So, but in the military we're always prepped and ready to go. We go down and we do our training, every 1 or 2 years, and to ensure that we remain competent.
Okay, thank you for this wonderful information concerning the corona virus or COVID-19 virus, however you would want to give it a label. This ends the third segment of our interview.
Peace. I hope you edit.
All right, so humanitarian works. How does it make you feel by being able to give to those who are less fortunate?
Oh, I feel good about it. It's always good to, when you give, you just have a sense of compassion and I don't know. It's like it feels good to give to others. Not to say that they. Oh, I messed this up. Let me.
You know this ain't no editing,
No,
bro.
we're gonna edit this.
No, we ain't gonna edit this.
No, it feels really good to give, to help others in times of need, especially during our times. With the whole pandemic going on, we were advised and instructed to find those who are affected by the coronavirus, whether they lost their jobs or are just completely unemployed without pay.
Right.
And it's just to show our good gesture, our good hospitality when it comes to this.
Now, do you have to be rich in order to give?
No, absolutely not. Remember the woman in the Bible that gave 2 coins?
Yeah.
She was rich in the eyes of God rather than those who had money. So absolutely not. Now I think a lot of people in this world, obviously, they give money or they give things, just to show a good gesture as well. But it's all dependent on how it's looked at in the eyes of God.
Yeah.
As a member of the church, we try to help out others in need, not just non-members, but even our own. This is unprecedented times, and so we're just doing what we can to show our love to the brethren. Brotherly love.
That brotherly love. What exactly does brotherly love mean to you?
Brotherly love means showing a commitment and a compassion to always love one another, always be respectful to one another at all times, no matter what. And if you have differences, try to work out those differences rather than resorting to violence or chaos. Rather than resorting to any kind of altercation or fight or anything like that. Not holding grudges. If you have an issue with someone, try to work it out with some dignity, respect with those, and always love your brother. It's a commandment, to always be respectful to one another.
You know what the cool thing about having this interview with you is, I often hear you reference the Bible and how you're supposed to live by it and think by it and so forth. What makes you so strong in your faith?
Just, the Bible obviously is a good reference, for how to live your life, and, it kind of intertwines with your beliefs, your ethics, your work ethic, your daily values and how you see others. It's a great guide to help you make those decisions, because the Bible is true. I'm definitely a believer. There's no doubt. Just not just by growing up in the church, but over time you have those experiences that God puts you through, you know, those tests and trials. And the things that are written in the Bible have taken place. And there are things that have yet to take place, and they're all lining up. So there's no doubt, you know, that the Bible is true. And I think, you know, I encourage everyone to take a chance and ask your questions, those hard questions, you know, not just to others, but to yourself, and ask what is your purpose here in this world. You know, everybody has a different, you know, both non-members and members alike have differences of opinions.
So do you think, well, my question to you is, what do you think your purpose here on this earth is?
Oh, to serve God, no doubt.
Number one answer, huh?
That's the number one answer.
To serve God.
To serve God.
It's
Love
really
others.
wonderful, man, to be able to set aside yourself and put something or someone greater than you in it,
Absolutely.
in your place.
It's a sacrifice that has a worth in the end, you know. There's a benefit, there's a reward. And it all comes with experience, and not just experience just with daily life. You have to listen to those words over and over again in order to have that understanding. And the more you know, it's like G.I. Joe, it's half the battle.
So, how many people you're going to be visiting today?
So today we're just going to visit 2 people. One family is in my group, and then there's another family who's in Area 1. And we're going to just drop off some relief bags. And it's just to show, you know, our good gesture of, you know, goodwill, love to them. This is part of love of the brotherhood, you know.
Yeah.
Just giving to others. And sometimes that challenges your own faith, you know, when you give or even when you receive. Because, right, we're so taught to give. And half the time we don't receive. Or we're not, you know, as fond as receiving as we are giving, you know.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, you know, a lot of people, I mean, even myself sometimes, you know, we always want to push away what's being given to us, you know, just
Well, a lot of people are, proud? That's the word I'm going to use.
It's pride. Pride as well.
All right. Hopefully these brethren won't be too proud. That'll be good. There we go. All right, here we go. So, we're closing to the end of our podcast today. We're here now with Sharon, the wife of Roy. And so, remember back in earlier in the video where Roy was explaining how him and Sharon met. Now, we're going to ask her the same questions that we asked him concerning their engagements. So Sharon, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you guys met around, what was it, 17 years ago, and he mentioned something earlier that you guys didn't really like each other, you know. So first of all, tell me or tell the audience how it came down that you guys actually started dating.
Wow. Okay.
Speak louder, please.
Okay, so I think maybe it was softball. I know our locale was doing a softball thing, and we were both playing, I guess, and they had put my position as shortstop because I guess they seen me play like the week before for fun, and so they thought I was good. Okay. So I got shortstop, right? And this guy, I think he got like outfield somewhere.
This
far
guy here?
Yes. He was nowhere near me. His position was nowhere near me. Okay, so we have a batter come on, and then they hit one coming straight at me. Shortstop, right? And then here I am getting ready to catch it. I used to play little league softball, so I know how to catch. I'm not one of those girls that like that. I know how to catch. And so here I am getting ready to get this ball, and then who behind me is trying to get my catch? Like,
I'm backing you up.
no, that is exactly what he said too. He's backing me up. I said, no. I was getting ready to catch that, and I was like, this dude come flying over trying to get my star catch. I'm gonna get this, and then after that I was like, who is this? Like, he was probably like left field behind first base.
Well, you know, there's 4 outfielders, so there's center, left,
And like,
center,
where
right.
did he come from to come all the way to
Center, right.
shortstop to get my position? So yeah, after
So
that,
who ended up catching the ball?
me.
You caught it?
Yes, I sure did.
Okay.
All that.
But still, I was like, well,
I
why
had to
you
run
over
up.
here?
It was
Why
a
you
short
over
hit.
here?
So did you guys know each other before
I think he.
that game?
I knew of him. I think he had talked. Because my sister's a little bit older, so I think he talked more to my sister because she was more involved in church. I was kind of like a attend and go like that.
Yeah.
So he kind of knew me because of my sister. He knew that my sister had a sister, and so I don't know. But then I saw him at activities like bowling. Our locale had league bowling.
So
I
you were
saw him
always
there.
active.
He was always there.
Yeah.
And his brother is my age, so I knew his brother more than him, but I knew that his brother Rob, I knew he had a brother too, but I didn't know him. But yeah, after that day, I was like, I don't like this dude.
She was like,
You get mad. See how-
Yeah,
see how
I was.
competitive
I was
that
like-
is?
yeah.
I was like,
I didn't even get the
But-
ball. All I did was just back up.
but I don't know, yeah, but the more that I saw him,
Mhm.
and it just,
Oh, okay. So it was after a while, after you started seeing him and,
Yeah.
and more, you
Yeah.
started becoming attracted to him?
yeah.
Oh, man.
Because there was also a road trip we took to Jacksonville for
Okay.
like a leadership conference, for the locale, or for our district, because we were part of Southeast District.
Okay.
Florida. We were on the way to Jacksonville. So he rode with us, me and my sister, and my sister's boyfriend at that time. And we rode that long road trip, like 8+ hours or something. And
this
so
was-
I got to talk to him more, got to know him more. But there were some things about him too that time that I was like, I really don't like him. But just spending more time with him.
He wasn't gangster enough.
But spending more time being around him more, I was like, oh, this is cool.
So he started growing on you.
He started growing on me.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. Man.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a growing like mold or nothing like that.
No. No.
Man. So when did you know that, dang, I love this guy?
When I kept hearing him talk about church, I was like, man, he's, his faith was.
So he was even like that when he was younger?
Yeah. He was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the thing that makes me, like him as much.
Yeah.
His faith is super strong.
It is, but he would all the stories that I heard him tell, because when he went to the military and he was in Germany and he wasn't able to worship as much, stuff like that, and then he came back, and when he came back, he was even more strong. Just hearing those kind of stories are inspirational to me, and when I heard those stories, I was like, I really, this guy is inspiring me to be strong in my faith too.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
It is.
That's super inspiring. When you find people who helps you become a better person, not only that, helps you become a better Christian,
Yes.
and love your duties and your God more than you would have on your own.
Yes.
That's super awesome.
That's.
That's how my wife makes me, she really pushes me to love, that much more. Wow, that is so cool. So, how did you feel when he felt the same way about you?
I don't know. I think I was kind of nervous, because he wasn't really, I don't want to say I have a type, but he He was something different.
Okay.
I would never have thought that I would end up with somebody. And then plus, the first time we were on AIM, talking one time somehow.
AIM.
Oh
somehow,
man, AOL Instant Messenger.
Somehow we was
We're going
talking.
way back.
Somehow we met, or we started chatting with each other. And then when I found out how old he was, like, cause he's like 6 years older than me, I was like, oh my, even more. I was like, ew, like. Even that, there was a lot of, it was like, oh my gosh, no, he's just not, I'm not into that. Just, and plus,
His grandpa.
How old were you when you?
I was 20, he was 26.
Oh,
But it was still, it was old to me.
That's nothing.
Because
You know how
he's
old
already 25 and
I
I'm
think
20.
I'm 15 years older than my wife.
See, but-
15.
Yeah, but it's different after 40.
Yeah, especially
after-
after shifts. Yeah.
Okay, so coming around that, when you guys decided, okay, we're gonna do this, I'm gonna get married to him. Were there any instant changes that you had to make for yourself, just so you guys can be, you know, like living together?
Oh, you mean after we got married?
Yeah.
No, well, you know, I guess it's the normal things. You just some things I wasn't aware of. Like, I guess all guys are like that, huh? You just leave your stuff around all over the place. So I
I
gotta
plead
pick
the
up
fifth.
like that. I mean, it's just no, it wasn't too bad. Finally living with somebody else and just seeing how it wasn't. No, it worked out. You know, it worked out. I think it did. We didn't run into like major problems about how each other was. At least I don't think.
Man.
You know.
What about you, bro?
What's the question again?
The question is were there any types of big changes that you had to make, like when you get married to her?
I think when you get married, there are adjustments that you have to make on your own. Some of the adjustments, I don't know. There were some small adjustments. I don't know, maybe some.
He's like,
There's a lot of adjustments that you have to make. You know, you're newly married to somebody. You've never lived with anybody before. You know, so there's a lot of adjustments that you have to make. You know, both physically, emotionally, and I do know that when I first, we were sleeping in the same bed. It was uncomfortable for me.
Oh,
A little bit, huh?
He
Yeah.
keeps saying I put out too much heat. I'm like, wow.
It is different.
It is different. I mean,
Waking up next to somebody.
yeah, I'm like,
But
whoa,
I
what is
like
that?
that.
I mean, it's
I
different
liked
than
it.
What?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it is a little different.
Yeah, I guess it's.
I mean, it's rewarding, but it's
It
just different. Because
Adjustment.
it's like wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You wake up, you're like, wait a minute, there's somebody here.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's my wife. But other than that, was there any other adjustments that you had to make in order for you guys to really like gel?
just your own expectations.
Your own
Things that you're
expectations.
used to doing or expect. You can't expect others to do things for you. You still have to do your own and try to meld with that. And sometimes we run into unexplained expectations, things that we assume, about a person, a lot of assumptions that you have about a person. Those are all, you have to just find a way to meld, because there's always going to be issues. It's just like, two different people trying to get on the same track, polarizing, or not polarizing, but like opposites,
Yes.
positive, negatives, just trying to, it's like riding a bike over again, just,
Right.
except two people trying to ride the same bike.
Yeah, well, those are tight.
There's all kinds of different things. It's hard to explain. Everybody has their different things that they have to make adjustments. But I know one thing. After being married for 9 years, right? We're gonna have our 9th anniversary next year or next month, rather.
Next month, yes.
And
The 21st, am I correct?
yeah, May 21st.
May 21st,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
There's a lot of things you have to adjust with your own self, within your own personal self, rather than expecting, the other person to do things. And you have to clearly define expectations, that sort of thing, of what each other likes, dislikes, in a way that, doesn't happen at the moment of problems. You just have to find that way to do it. you have to share responsibilities.
Okay, so in closing, last bits of encouragement. I'll ask you first, and then you'll close it. Okay, so anything that you would like to share concerning being together and strengthening the bond and making sure that your family is strong and secure together.
The one thing that comes to mind, prayer.
Prayer.
Yeah, praying as a family, together. Family that prays together stays together.
Family that prays together stays together.
Just
Brother
prayer.
Roy?
Right. You have to believe in your prayers. Have that faith that what you ask from God, He's going to help you, and have that faith every step of the way. Because there's going to be times where you're going to feel like, oh, this is a nightmare. We have 3 kids, and if everyone knows, if you have a family and you have children, that you have to set aside extra time for them along with what you're doing as well, and it can be challenging. You just have to have that faith and trust in one another, and when things go wrong, you can't just give up and lose hope. You got to turn to God and ask for that prayer, because all of that's designed to strengthen you even more. It takes a while, and the more you experience it, the more the stronger that you get, and you just have to always do the right things as well.
So let's make sure that we all do the right thing. As we close,
like the movie.
That was a pretty good movie. I
I've
liked
seen
it,
it, so
though.
I don't want to. Yeah.
Man, that was cool. So listen, you guys tune in with us again. I'm sure this is not the last time that you're going to see these guys. This was a wonderful interview. It was all day, and it was super fun. There were some things that we did today that I did not record because it was very personal, and it was really awesome. So maybe next time that we do, we'll go ahead and show that footage, because I got it. Hey, how you doing? Right in the middle of the shot. Okay, so tune in again. Go to the Facebook page, J1S Promotions, YouTube, J1S Promotions. Okay, guys. See you guys later.
All right. Now you need to clap.